Hi, everyone. It's Danielle Marie from the One Realty here in Austin, Texas, with your weekly real estate update. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about what has been happening in Austin in this past week because I like to look at week over week. So, what we do is every Wednesday, I collect the data. Now, you typically get it after Wednesday, but every Wednesday, I collect the data of what happened compared to the previous week. We want to see what's happening in the Austin market, especially when we hear talks of like rate changes and different things like that happening that might bring buyers back, might bring sellers back, different things like that with the Austin real estate market. So we're going to hop in and we are going to look to see what happened over this past week. So we're going to look at what happened on 20 August compared to what happened on the 13th of August. So if you're just joining me, my name is Danielle Fountain. I'm the founder of the One Realty here in Austin, Texas, where we take a data-driven, all-in-one approach to real estate. So without further ado, I'm going to hop up here. We're going to talk through these numbers. If you're just joining me, I do weekly updates on these numbers that I have been tracking for months to kind of see correlation, causation, different things like that. So first and foremost, we have seen our inventory. So you're seeing our inventory drop down week over week by about 56 listings. So we're just under 3,600 listings. To put that in perspective, last year we hit our peak kind of really close to this amount last year in July. Now, this year, our peak was over 4,000, and that happened back in June. So we peaked early as far as inventory, as far as when we hit our peak inventory. However, our peak inventory this year, right now, it's very similar to where we were last year. Part of that also goes to sales. We aren't selling as many homes in general, so houses over the past couple of years have started to kind of stack up. With that being said, you can see our average price point. Down here, you're going to see my week over week. So I'm comparing what happened last week to what happened to this week and kind of where the changes are to see if there's any big changes. We've been drifting down. So we're at like 1.05 million. To put that in perspective, earlier this year, we were at like 1.26. So we were significantly higher, but we expect prices to continue to drop as we get on later in the year. The more expensive houses, they tend to be pulled off the market and they're just waiting for that buying season. Our median price point pretty much staying very, very similar. Now, this is kind of the shocker and the surprise. Our days on market, our median and our average, it's almost over 3 months. To put that in perspective, that's kind of where we normally are in like October, November. So houses have been sitting significantly longer because we also don't have the same sales. Sellers are kind of sitting with their houses longer, hoping maybe to get a sale out of it before the end of the year or before the school year starts. So with that being said, our days on market have definitely ticked up. The number of listings with a price reduction. So this is very interesting because 2 weeks ago, we went below 60%, and I was like, whoa, we're going down. Last week, we went back up over 60%, so we're at 60.5%. So you can kind of see that 59.69, 60.48 from last week, and then now we're at 59.56. So we are the lowest. When I say lowest, we're lower than we were 2 weeks ago when we ticked down. So why are we dropping down? Twofold. One, sellers are taking their houses off the market. So the houses that have been on the market for a long time, sellers are taking them off the market, as well as they're expiring or they're getting put on hold. The other thing that's also happening with this is that we're seeing some of them move. We're seeing some buyers come back. We're seeing more buyers right now here in August than we saw in June, than we saw in July. So it's going to be a very, very interesting sales cycle this year. If we continue to see buyers come back, this will continue to shift. The next thing we're going to look at is our new listings. Not a surprise, we're down 207. I highly, highly doubt that we're going to see any surge in new listings here till the end of the year. The only thing that might change it is if all of a sudden interest rates drop and we see sellers kind of that were in limbo, previously listed the house coming back. Do I see it happening? Probably not. But our number of new listings are down. Continue to see that go down, which will also show our active listings will continue to go down. And with that, the houses that are coming to the market, you can see this, our average and our median house prices from this past week, significantly lower than what we are for our what is currently out there on the market too. So sellers that are coming to the market, maybe number one, be more cognizant of the market. They're pricing it because they're pricing it to sell considering the time of market they're entering, as well as you also might be seeing maybe some investors offloading properties, different things like that instead of your big family houses coming to the market. That being said, we should roll in down to houses going off the market. We saw a 27 more this week compared to last week. So as far as the listings that were put on hold, there was 47 of them that were at 66 days on the market. Now, I always point this out. The reason I look at median days on the market for those houses that are being put on hold, I want to go look at our active inventory. If this number is lower than our active inventory number, it's kind of telling you that, hey, maybe these sellers just need to be a little bit patient. And that's what this market, maybe we just need a little bit of patience to get to where you want to be. Listing withdrawn, 98 of them withdrawn. You can see median days on market 76, very close to what is on our active inventory. Expired listings 21 after 135 days. So they spent a good amount of time, especially considering when they came to the market. Now, I didn't break down prices. Price is also going to change anything. The more expensive something is, the longer it's going to take to sell because you narrow down your buyer pool. With that, let's hop into this weekly's pending numbers. If you're just joining me, my name is Danielle Fountain. I am the founder of the One Realty. We take a data-driven, all-in-one approach to real estate. If you like these updates, you can either subscribe on you can go to YouTube, and I'm Austin Real Estate on YouTube. Or if you find me on X, I'm at _1_realty. So without further ado, our number of pending listings, we went down by 25 compared to last week. This in our new weekly pending. So this new weekly pending number, that 187, what I look at is I look at from Wednesday of one week to Tuesday of the following week, how many listings went pending. If we see this number going up, it's a leading indicator that our market's kind of strengthening. It's getting a little stronger. If we see it going down, that's going to say like, hey, the market is softening. The buyers are kind of stepping back a little bit. The other thing that we're going to look at is days on market. So you can see our days on market, we went up by 1 in both categories of average and median. We're still lower than active, which that's going to happen. That's going to be normal. If we start seeing these days on market drop down, that's also an indication that buyers are out there and they're waiting for the right property to come on, the one property to come on the market, and then they're acting. If we see this continue to go up, we might be saying, hey, we have some buyers that have a little bit more flexibility that are coming to the market. They're going for the older homes, or maybe we're seeing more investors come to the market. Also, if rates drop. So if rates drop and we see more buyers come back, some of these active listings that have been sitting here, they're probably going to go under contract, and we're going to see that. So with that being said, not surprising, we did see our average and our median price. They kind of shifted down a little bit. Now, I pay attention to this median and this average price because when we start talking about year-over-year growth and where we are if we compare to December, this is going to be very important. Like, is Austin's market going up? Is it going down? This right here will tell you a lot because if our pending numbers are lower than where we are last year, that's kind of an indication of, hey, here's what's to come. And if you stay tuned, we're going to talk about August's numbers, and we're going to compare August's numbers to where we are currently with our pending numbers. Additionally, you see right here, we had a 2% increase in the number of listings that had a price reduction that went pending. This isn't really going to tell me, it's not going to tell me as much as it will when it's active. Right here, if we're seeing this continue to go up, that means that we're looking at buyers that are looking for deals. They're going after houses that have had price reductions. If this is going down, same with days on market, that means sellers are going after maybe the houses that just hit the market, and buyers are going after houses that have just hit the market, and there is an intention and a reason to go after that. So with that also, we're going to hop into the sales data. And if you're joining me, we're literally talking about single family homes in the city of Austin. This is not the Metroplex. You cannot compare Buda down south out to Spicewood, out to Bee Cave, out to Round Rock, Leander, Georgetown. All of those cities are different. Even Austin itself is different. Central Austin, like 78703, 05, 31, 78704, like the Travis Heights, those different areas, they are going to be completely different parts of Austin than if we go out to like the Del Valley area of Austin, or if we go to Metropolis. It depends on where you are, but I'm going to at least give you Austin as a whole. And for my clients, we niche it down into that specific area that they're looking. So with that, we are going to go and talk about what has closed in the past 30 days and how that is looking. Keep in mind, pending are your leading indicators. Closed are your lagging indicators. So if I'm telling you closed data, you should not be comparing your house to what is closed alone. You should also be comparing it to what is pending. Are buyers out there? What are buyers buying? What is in my area? Because that's also telling you, are there buyers active in your market? Is your home overpriced? Or is your house the best price in the market and there are no buyers moving? And I can tell you that because I had a very, very competitive house priced, and it just went under contract this past week at full price. And we never reduced it. It had been on the market long, but we knew it was the best house in the area as far as price put per square foot and different things like that. And it was on the market for over a month, and we didn't reduce it, and it got a full asking price offer. But we knew there was no other offer. There was no other houses out there that were getting bought, that were selling. So it was like, we just had to be patient. And sometimes that's what you have to do. Sometimes you have to be patient when you're selling. So with that, let's hop on to our closed listing. So right now, only one difference week over week. I'm going to expect this closed listing. I'm actually going to expect it to kind of stay right there in the 700s. Our pending listing has gone up. So if we look back, you can see like, hey, we dipped down to 871. There was we kind of have stayed like right in these like 8s and 900s. So I would not be surprised if our close, we're going to kind of stay right around in those mid 700s. With that being said, this is kind of the, hey, deals before school, a couple different times that you can get really good deals. One, end of summer, people that need to sell are doing whatever they can to sell, especially if they're trying to move before the school year. You're going to see that. You're also going to see some at the end of the year. You're going to see really good sales kind of like at the end of the year. So 2 key times when you're really going to be able to take advantage of the market. With that being said, you're going to see our average price point. So our average sales was at 820. Our median was at 634. If you look right here, what's pending, so these are our leading indicators, these are our lagging indicators, you're going to see right here that we're probably going to continue to see these numbers go down. So when people say, hey, where is Austin going to end up for the year? Are we going to end up ahead? Are we going to end up down? Well, based on my current data right now, I am not predicting. So there's people out there who predict, oh, prices are going to fall, prices are going to go up. I'm just using kind of really, really tight niche data. And it's not a true prediction of the full year. Like I would not predict in January what's going to happen in December. But now that we are in August, I can kind of see what the patterns have been throughout the entire year and kind of where we're going compared to sales historically. So do I think that we'll see prices continue to fall throughout Austin? Yes. Do I think they'll be dramatically falling? No. I think we'll probably end up about 2 to 3% underneath where we currently are, or where we were at the beginning of the year. And that's also going to go back to the number of houses that are selling. It's also going to go back to, if we look up here and we're looking at our percent of listings with a price reduction, the fact that we were so early on, that's kind of showing you, hey, sellers are really trying to move their property. So with that, you can see our average sales, our median sales. So our average sales is at 820,000. Our median is at 634. Both of them were a week over week drop down. And this is a 30-day. So 1 week, it's going to change things, but you still have essentially 3 other weeks that are rolled into this. With that being said, you're also seeing our days on market, median, and average going up. We're going to continue to see that because right here, if we look at our pending, our leading indicators, our pending is at 65 and 46. So we're going to see these going up. I don't even really look at sales, days on market for sales, because it's really going to be the pending that really, really matter, because we see kind of, hey, here's what's coming on the horizon. With that being said, this was interesting the past couple of weeks is, are we dropping down? Are sellers making really, really good deals to kind of get down? Well, this 96.62%, this is what the closed on average closed price of what the current list price is to what the current what closed price was to list price. And we are just about 3.5% under is kind of where you're going. And that's kind of like your average or median. If we look at closed price to original list price, so before it had those price cuts, we are looking closer. So you can see this right here is like a 7. It's like 6 to 7.5% is what we're seeing here. Now, keep in mind, you're knocking off a little more here at the list price. But we can expect to kind of see that. We're seeing some softening of prices. I do think that we'll continue to see this fall unless sellers rapidly pull their houses off the market. That is why this section right here, the listings withdrawn, listing expired, that's why this is so important, because we want to see like what are sellers doing. Are sellers sitting and just waiting and saying, hey, look, I'm just going to keep my house on the market. If it sells, it sells. Or are they saying, hey, I'm going to pull it. I'm going to wait till the market picks up or interest rates go down, and then I'm going to put the house back on the market. So kind of looking at both things to see, hey, what is happening? So with that being said, we are about to hop into August's data. We have all the sales data for, majority of the sales data for July. So we can take a kind of a sneak peek to see where we ended in July. But we're really going to focus in on August. There's only 6 days left, but I will say you typically don't even get your full sales data for the month almost until the next month is over. Like I looked this morning at the sales data for July and I added 6 more homes that had sold. Not that they had sold in August. It was just that it was late to be inputted. So we really keep track of the data. So with that, it would really help if you're listening to this and you like this, please share it out. Please follow me. If you can subscribe on YouTube, or you can follow me again over on X. If you save this on X, it will help other people see me, which I really appreciate. I don't charge anything for this data. It's all me taking the time to analyze it and share it with you. So any way you can help me, whether it's sharing my data, saving it, or asking questions, I truly, truly appreciate that. So with that, let's go in and we are going to hop into the monthly. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to write them in the chat because I can see them below and answer them. So, okay. So, well, let me just do this. Let me show you where we end up in July. So first and foremost in July, we'll do some key takeaways. I won't get into the nitty gritty details because we're going to do that in a minute with August, but where we end up in July for Austin, Texas. So we ended up with selling 21 more houses than last year. So you can see it's up like a 3%. Now, when it came for our close price and our median price, so this is where we are for this year. Then this is year over year. So this is comparing, this data right here is comparing to what happened in July 24. Then month over month, this data right here is comparing to what happened in June, so the month prior. And then this data down here is going to compare to where we ended up in December compared to now. So with that being said, we did see our July, our average sales price was actually under this year. So we closed at a lower average. Our median was up like 2.5%. It's very important to look at average and median. Our average might be way, way high, but that could be because we have some really expensive properties that are selling on the market. Our median might be really, really low because we have a lot of lower price properties that are selling as well. So you gotta have to look at both of them to see it. But with that being said, you can see our median sales price was kind of a tick higher here. Remember, these are all single family homes. The Austin Board of Realtors will release data, but it includes condos and townhouses. It's not true single family homes. You have to look at single family homes. You have to look at apples to apples. So you can see that we're slightly ahead in our median. Square footage was a little bit bigger this year. For our days on the market last year, 46 and 32 was our median. It was a house that's been sitting on the market longer this year than they were last year. I think sellers have become a little bit more patient because they know what's happening. They know the interest rates are taking time. They're not in a rush to sell their houses because they understand the market. Now, this was the big hey, slap you in your face, pay attention. Sellers are willing to make a deal. And that's right here, because if we look at the closed price to list price and closed price to original list price, our year over year, we're about 1% lower on all of them. Now, that doesn't mean the prices is lower, because the prices could have started higher and then sellers reset their expectations. So that's kind of what we're seeing right here. But let's go and hop into August. So first and foremost for August, so far, and this is as of this morning, we've closed 512 homes. If we look at that historically, so historically, here's where we are in August. If we look at from 05 back, our historical average is a little over 1,100 houses. Our median, same. So we should be selling significantly more houses. Now, our low that we sold was in 2010 was at 648. I've got full confidence that we are going to beat that at 512. Just looking at our rolling 30 days, I say we're going to still end up in the mid 700s. So you saw that we end up like 740 in July. I think we'll be very close. I think that's going to be very, very close. The only thing that can kind of change is, and honestly, what's going to be closing out in August, it's already under contract. Even a cash buyer, chances that they're going to be closing in 5 days. There'll be a few. I mean, there could be a few, but chances are that whatever we're seeing right now is going to be closing out in September. So no huge expectations for August. I do think that we will end up over this 702. People are going like, hey, wait, we're only at 512. And the only reason I say that we'll end up, I think we're going to end up above. Typically, you have a lot of listings that close out at the end of the month, as well as agents just haven't reported closed sales. So I have 2 that are closing out at the end of the month. So put those 2 in there as well. And I'm just one agent. So with that being said, if we look at our average sales price, 835, our median is 637. Both of those are higher than last year. You can see last year's right here. Our average is up almost 1%. Our median is up like 3.66%. Even if we looked at that month over month, if you saw when we were talking down below for July, our month over month's higher. We're having a stronger August than we did July. That's not normal. But that just shows you, hey, there's buyers out there waiting. They're waiting to make a deal. That being said, no surprise, no shocker. Our days on the month are higher. We saw that in June. I think we're going to see that through the rest of the year. I think our days on the market are going to continue to pick up as sellers they're just kind of waiting. They're waiting for the offer to come in. This right here goes back to kind of, hey, that shock and awe. Are sellers willing to make a deal? You can see year over year, which is right here, we're down like 0.5%. For our average of our closed price to original list price, and same thing for our closed price to list price. And then our closed price to original list price, that median, we are down 1%. I think you're going to see this number continue to expand. So month over month, price wise, we are stronger than we were in July. I think we'll see our what we sell. I think it's going to be very, very similar to July. You can see right here, these ratios down below, they are lower. So sellers are still making more deals. I think that's going to happen. Here's the big kicker. So this is what people want to know. Is Austin going to end up ahead this year? Are we going to be down? Where do you think we're going to be? I think we're going to be down slightly. And that is because typically you hit your peak prices in June, July. Now, August, we're a little bit later. Now, if rate cuts drop down substantially and there's a flood of buyers that come to the market, which I don't even think then, I think a lot of people get established for the year and then they really tend to buy starting at the beginning of the following year after they filed their tax returns, they've gotten their tax rebates, they know that they're buying for the upcoming year. I think you'll end up seeing a lot more action there. But that being said, investors are a whole different animal. It's kind of when investors want to come to the game. So with that being said, where we are right now, so our average price point from where we closed out in December, we're up like 1.2%. Our median, we're up 4.5%. You can kind of see how close we are right here, even our month over month. Now it's a little bit higher. I'm cautious, and the only reason I'm cautious is because our days on the market keep climbing, and as days on the market keep climbing, the likelihood of a seller dropping their price, it becomes, even more, as well as our inventory we're still stacked in Austin. Like the fact that we have our peak inventory from last year is still what we currently have now. We've just had a lot of sellers that are just like holding out on their houses. Now, that being said, all houses are not equal. So you might have a one-off, a completely renovated, gorgeous home. And if you look at all the other houses on the neighborhood, they might not be the same. They might be lower quality. So a really, really good house can still move quickly. I had buyers come through my open house yesterday, and we talked all about this. And they're like, yeah, I think prices are going to fall, different things like that. People keep telling me it's a great time. I said, it is a great time for it is a great time for a flexible buyer. If you are a flexible buyer, if you are a flexible investor, meaning you're open to a lot of areas, you're open to different conditions of homes, the world is your oyster, because what you can do is you can make what we call a disrespectful offer. You can say, hey, seller, I really, really like your house. I appreciate your house. However, in order for the numbers to work for me, this is the offer I have to make. And that's the offer you present. And you say, I don't want to disrespect you by not giving you an offer, but I want to let you know that I do like your house. However, for the numbers to work for me, this is what I have to purchase it at. And sometimes you'll be surprised. If a seller has to move, you'll be surprised what a seller might accept. There are some sellers out there, and I see it all the time on the MLS. Bring any offer. Bring any offer. When you see that, it's like, hey, flashing signs, this seller wants to make a deal. Maybe they just haven't lowered their price because they don't want to make a double negotiations. They want to say, okay, hey, I've got room to go down way this far, but I'm waiting for someone to make me an offer, and then I'm going to go way down this far. So that being said, I do think that we're going to continue to see it. Our inventory is significantly high. The number of houses with price reductions is going and continuing to build on itself. So with that being said, and you can kind of see here, close price to list price, we are already, so this is the scary part too. We're already closing close price to original list price. Where we are currently now in July or in August, we are closing at a lower ratio than we were in December. That's crazy because those are houses that went under contract in November. In December, we are giving away more of our house now than we were in December. So with that, I'm going to remove this. I'm going to stop sharing. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have a question about your particular house, your particular area, if you're looking to buy and you want to talk a niche area, please reach out. I'm Danielle Fountain at The One Realty. You can just find me if you do Austin Realtor Danielle Fountain, or you look up www.theonerealty.com, you can find me. So with that, I hope you have a beautiful day, and I look forward to talking to y'all next week.